Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to another player profile as we lead into the 2017 AFL season. Today we're looking at Josh Caddy, and sometimes in the SuperCoach business you got to make big calls, and here's one of mine. Josh Caddy, top 5 forward in 2017. I think he's going to have a fantastic season. This hasn't been my thought process throughout the whole pre-season, but just reading a few things, looking deeper into the numbers, that's a conclusion that I feel pretty comfortable voicing. So, as in these player profiles, we take a look at why you should pick a bloke, why you should maybe steer clear, and then I'll hand out a verdict. So, what do you need to know about Caddy? 488,600, he'll set you back. He's only in the 12% of sides. Now, obviously, normally in these player profiles, been looking at the more popular players, working our way in through the top 30 most popular guys. Now, I was surprised to see that Caddy was only in 12%, but just yesterday when I was having a look at the stats, he was in about 10.5%. So I can only imagine that he is starting to get on the rise and prick the ears up of a few super coaches out there. So I guess first off, why are you going to pick him? Now, he's at his third club, so that's always interesting. Now, he, of course, last year averaged 89.8, I think it was. I don't have it exactly written down, but he did spend a lot of time forward. Now, in the second half particularly, Geelong opted to use him as a more half-forward flanker and rotate into the midfield, so that was something that affected him. But why should you pick him? I think clearly he's gone to the Tigers for opportunity in the midfield, and I believe he'll get that. In the intra-club game on the weekend, he was very impressive, among the best players on the ground. And I know it's only intra-club, but the key takeaway was that he did play basically all midfield. Rested forward from time to time, but that's basically part of everyone's game these days. You're always resting in another position. Nobody really these days plays 100% midfield. So I think the signs are there that he'll definitely be a midfielder. And I think with the opportunity that will come, it won't be too hard for him to improve his average by at least 5 points, and I think that's all we need. Of course, in the forward line, we've lost Zorko, Martin, Merritt, Montagna, Aaron Hall, a long list of guys. We got repaid with your McRae's and your Dalhouses, and also Caddy. So I think if we can take advantage of this, it will help sort out a bit of that pain from losing all those guys. And the offset of that is that we don't really need him to go bang up to 100. We only really need him to be around that 95 mark, which he showed he was very much capable in 2015, averaging 93.7. So I do feel like he will go even beyond that. I feel he'll average 95 plus and even give the 100 a bit of a nudge. In fact, I certainly think he will. He's a contested ball beast. That's where he likes to be, and I think he'll get that at the Tigers. I think it's always good to look at the other side of the coin as well, so why shouldn't you pick him? Why should you be wary? Well, I guess he's been in the system a long time and hasn't exactly shown enormous SuperCoach numbers. He's shown pretty reasonable numbers, but is he capable of pushing 100? You might have question marks about that. You might feel others have a better case for pushing the 100 mark to Caddy. Maybe Caddy's just a bloke who will average nice high 80s to early 90s for his whole career. Maybe he's just that type of player. He's a little scrappy, that's for sure. Can turn the ball over a little bit. You wouldn't say he's silk, but what he is he's hard and he's in and under, which can cause a few turnovers as well. He's at his third club. Of course, you might beg the question, why has he gone to 3 clubs already? He's such a talented high draft pick back in the day. How has he found himself to a third club? He obviously has fallbacks at some stage in his game. So, of course, there's a few reasons why you would steer clear, and I do feel that they're certainly reasonable. He has shown that even his body at times can be one that just gets the odd niggle or two with your hamstring, and he just can be the late out from time to time or miss a week or two here and there. And he also, you could argue, hasn't been the best performer when the heat's really on in the big games. So there's a few devil's advocate sort of opinions there. Takes me to my verdict. He wasn't in my side for a lot of the pre-season until the last probably couple of weeks. Now, I think if we can jump at the chance to pick a guy in our forward line that is going to play in midfield, that's certainly something we should definitely be heavily considering, and I think Caddy will absolutely get that. Might he be squeezed out by Martin, Prestia, Cochin, Alice? There's quite a lot of players in there. I don't think so. I don't think that's a concern for mine. I think alongside Cochin, he'll almost work in tandem with him. I think he'll be the in and under types in there. Prestia will do likewise. Martin, they'll probably look to utilise a little more outside and a little more forward. More so outside mid and try and use his damaging delivery by foot. And as we know, Alice is certainly an outside player. So I don't have concerns that Caddy's not going to get the midfield time that we desire. I just feel that this could be his real primed year where he does go bang. Now, the big selling point for me was when I looked back even more so into his numbers. And it made me feel a little bit more comfortable when you dig a bit deeper. Last 10 rounds of 2014, he averaged 94.9, that's including finals. 2015, his best year so far, averaged 93.7. If you take out the 40 points against St Kilda in the last round, which he only played about 40-odd% game time, 96.7 he averaged. And then in the first 7 games of last year, he averaged 96.9. Until then, of course, the Cats restructured things and he wasn't given the luxury of running through the midfield. And the obvious thing too, the numbers tell a massive story. In that 2015 season, averaged 5.1 clearances. Last year, they were just about halved, down to 2.7. So there's certainly plenty of room for improvement and scope to go to that next level. And the reason I read out those numbers before is it shows that he hasn't just had 1 year that's reasonable. He's certainly shown in many stages that he is capable of well and truly averaging in the mid-90s. And I do feel that he'll have a career best season number-wise with the Tigers. So you can always pick and pull numbers from certain parts of the season and paint a nicer picture, but I do feel that it's relevant with Caddy, just given what's happened with certain positions. And there's a genuine stretch of back end of 2014, 2015 and front end of 2016 of genuine averaging 95, 96. So I think probably, even though the raw numbers don't tell it, I do feel that he's a guy who has shown he can average mid-90s, and I feel that he can even improve on that by the 5 or so points that people are talking, and I feel that we'll get an average of around high 90s to 100s. So I am certainly sold on Caddy at the moment. I'm really liking what he's doing. He has worked his way into my side. He's at a nice price as well. And look, he will of course rest forward at times, as is the nature of the game with the limited rotations now. But if we see in the JLT series that he's looking like he will be exactly what's been talked about, he was promised midfield time. If he's in the guts alongside Koch and that, it's going to be enough for me, because I think he wins enough contested ball. He's about a 50% ball winner by contested possession. About half his stuff is always won at the stoppage. So I feel that he can give you great numbers. He's one of the few midfield options we have in our forward line this year, and I think that can provide a bit of comfort for us as well, rather than maybe people talking about this is the year of the key forward. I mean, look, it might be Lynch might be a good option, so might Kennedy, so might Gunston, but I really think it's far more bankable to go on a guy who has a reasonable amount of runs on the board, even if you got to dig a little bit, and then has also been promised midfield time. So I feel like he's a very good selection and he'll be in my side, and I expect that 12% ownership to really increase to around the 20, maybe even 25% come round 1. So very interesting there. I know not everyone's probably going to agree with that, especially how hard I sold him there, but give me your thoughts on him. Let me know if you think I'm well off the mark. Caddy, a top 5 forward. Am I dreaming? Certainly let me know. As always, give me a bit of feedback. And next up, we'll be taking a look at another man who swapped clubs over the off-season. A running defender, nicely priced, but does he have the ceiling? That's what I'll be discussing in our next player profile over the next couple of days. But as always, subscribe to the channel. Be fantastic to see those numbers continuing to go up and beyond 500. Like the video if you enjoyed it. As I said, give me your feedback, give me your comments. And I'll be back in the next day or so with another player profile. Catch you soon, guys.